All right, now we're gonna get into some inspiration and some card examples, and choosing the type of card you want to create is going to be important. So I generally group them into 3 types of categories. No, I'm not talking about things like clean and simple and mixed media and that type of thing, but rather the type of holiday card you're going to be making. In day 1, when I talked about the goals of my card for this series, that they're easy to create, great to create in bulk, I mentioned that when you write out the steps to your cards, you're going to easily have an overview of how many steps you need to take to complete that card. And then you multiply it by the amount of cards you need. Simple, right? And I also mentioned that you want to be able to have one step that might be time consuming to be the focal point of your card, and the rest of the steps should be really quick and easy. And that's exactly what I'm doing with this background stamp. So if you have a background stamp and you're following along, just use a normal background stamp. I wanted to have a snowy sky for winter, but I didn't have a snow backdrop. And so I ended up using a Turnabout stamp. If you've never heard about Turnabout stamps before, essentially what they allow you to do is to stamp it 4 times on 4 different sides, and what you're going to get is a background that comes together in 4 different colors, which is very hard to achieve from a background stamp. However, if you are just stamping in a solid color, or you're embossing in a single color like I'm doing, this step can be quite time consuming. So I'm just stamping along my background, and what's cool about background stamps too is you can get, or Turnabout stamps I should say, is that you can get a few different looks in that maybe you only stamp it once or twice or 3 times or 4 times. You'll get 4 different looks. And I found that I only needed to really stamp the background of this 3 times in order to get a really great appearance. I then went ahead and just added white embossing powder over top, heated it up, and I had my background all finished, all done on craft cardstock. Now that I'm finished that more tedious part of the card, all I need to do really is add a sentiment and some accents, and it's all finished. This is what I was talking about with spending time on one element of the card but making the rest of the elements easy. One of my favorite color combinations is craft cardstock with red, so I decided to cut that sentiment out of red. And a funny story is, you guys know I love to purge my supplies, and I couldn't find a snowflake stamp or die for the life of me. So I actually went and cut these out with my Cricut. And I have a love-hate relationship with my Cricut, I have to say, when it comes to cutting intricate things out of white paper. It never seems to work. I even texted my friend Laurel Beard and was like, how many times do you think it's gonna take to cut these for it to actually work? And they worked on the first time. So if you're ever in doubt about your Cricut, just text your friend and say, this is probably never gonna work, but I'm gonna try it anyway, and it will work. So I'm adding these to the front of my card, and I just decided to add a couple of snowflakes just to add some interest. I felt it was too plain going through, and the nice thing is my Cricut does all the work for me. So how easy is this card? You need a card base, a card panel, a background stamp, and then some die cuts and glue together. This is a perfect example of a card you could easily create in bulk, although I would definitely say that background stamp, make sure you're using a normal one and not a Turnabout in this case. But I think it turned out really lovely. I love the way that it turned out. And I went ahead and I decorated my envelope with a single snowflake on the back that I had from a leftover die. Now, don't forget everyone to join me over in the classroom for the free course for some bonus videos today, and I'll see you on Friday with another card. Bye for now.